Tonight, cheaper fuel tipped for regional Queensland.
A lucky escape for a Toowoomba family.
And police swoop following the assault on an elderly Charlton woman.
This is the Toowoomba WIN Local News with Des McWilliam and Selena Dowds.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Regional Queenslanders should see cheaper fuel in December under the state government's new fuel subsidy scheme. It'll pay service station operators directly to eliminate oil company rorts, but it's feared farmers won't share the benefits.
Peter Beattie was in a good mood this morning.
How's everybody?
He's pleased about his new plan to lower the price of fuel in Queensland, hopefully making it the cheapest in Australia. The government's new fuel subsidy scheme will see benefits passed directly to the consumer.
We want to stop rip-offs because this is about the subsidy being paid directly to Queensland motorists, and that includes people on the land. People on the land are going to be better off under this scheme.
Under the new plan, the government will pay its 8.35 cents a litre subsidy directly to service station operators instead of oil companies, which the Premier's long criticised for not passing savings on to consumers. But not everyone's happy. AgForce describes it as an administrative nightmare for farmers.
Now, for primary producers as bulk end users, they've really tightened up on the scrutiny that they put us through in order to qualify for this and then to claim the subsidy back.
But the Premier says they should stop complaining as his scheme works the same as the federal government's.
I say to AgForce, stop whinging. This is exactly the same system that operates federally. If it operates federally, why can't it operate on the same basis at a state level? No, I just think it's unreasonable for AgForce.
Bulk consumers will see the benefits in October, the general public in December. Meantime, Mr Beattie's urged motorists not to let rising fuel prices fuel support for One Nation at the next federal election. He says rather than turning to other parties, motorists should maintain pressure on John Howard to do something about fuel excise. Alistair Kingston, WIN News.
A Toowoomba family was lucky to escape injury last night after fire broke out in their kitchen. Flames quickly took hold of the chamferboard home located on Rose Street, Centenary Heights. The blaze started as a stove fire just before 7 o'clock. Neighbours watched on as firefighters ventilated the rental property as best they could. Unfortunately, damage inside was extensive.
Responded to a structure fire. 3 units attended this incident. Crews managed to limit the damage to the kitchen area of the structure. However, the rest of the building suffered smoke and heat damage.
Investigators don't believe the blaze is suspicious.
Detectives have charged a 26-year-old Toowoomba man in relation to the theft of an elderly woman's car. Officers also recovered her vehicle, discovered at a home in East Toowoomba.
Sunday morning's assault on 89-year-old Mackay Jarrett left her shaken, police describing the incident as cowardly. The elderly woman was woken by 2 females, one of whom threatened her with a knife, then pushed her to the floor. Mrs Jarrett says a male offender also entered her home, walking across her legs as if she wasn't there. A group of 4 accused of stealing her car, 2 of those people interviewed by police overnight.
Detectives charged a 26-year-old male person with the unlawful use of a motor vehicle pertaining to a victim who was 89 years of age. At this stage, detectives are still searching for a male and female offender involved in the robbery with violence.
Mrs Jarrett should be mobile again, police recovering her vehicle from a Godfrey Street home. Meantime, investigations continue into last week's assault and robbery of a Toowoomba woman outside her James Street unit. The victim was grabbed from behind as she attempted to open her car door, the offender hitting her head against the vehicle, punching her in the face and fleeing with her handbag. And a number of residents have attended the Toowoomba police station today to help identify property suspected of being stolen. Detectives seizing the items from a storage shed on Alderley Street yesterday.
In relation to the suspected stolen property, we're still asking people to come forward if they've had power tools or hand tools stolen of recent times.
Christina Harrison, WIN News.
Better roads, rail links and more water are the keys to developing Toowoomba's economy. An economic development meeting at Council today discussing ways to boost infrastructure in the region.
Toowoomba's developing at a rate of around 1%, a good start but a long way from the optimistic target of 8% as seen at the Gold and Sunshine Coasts. Federal member for Groom Ian McFarlane identifying private enterprise as the key to boosting infrastructure development in the region.
Obviously the big issues in terms of developing the economy of this region still relate to a better road access to Toowoomba, new rail links, more water availability for primary produce.
Council also on board encouraging private enterprise to improve the economy.
That's something that Council has looked at already in the past 6 months, and we expect that within this Council term there'll be a number of such developments.
The Buy Local campaign, another hot topic for Council today. Mr McFarlane stressing the importance of keeping the money in Toowoomba, saying if people don't buy locally, they don't create jobs locally.
It amazes me that people drive to Brisbane to buy goods. The reality is that we have a very good range of shops here, and the prices are extremely competitive.
Lisa Chalk, WIN News.
Toowoomba's Office of Fair Trading has issued a warning to residents to be wary of a new lottery scam circulating on the Darling Downs. International swindlers are telling residents they've won thousands of dollars in exchange for a small fee.
If you do send any money overseas, you are taking a risk, and that risk is that you are going to lose your money and get nothing for it.
That's the official warning from Toowoomba's Office of Fair Trading on the latest scam to reach our mailboxes. The Premier Premiums Lottery described as an old scam with a new name, where residents are told they've won thousands of dollars at a cost of just $39.80. The department as a whole has recently received many complaints, most of the letters arriving in Queensland from the Netherlands.
Unfortunately, for every person that says something's wrong, there are a lot more who are writing out cheques and sending them overseas.
Toowoomba residents in particular are receiving a similar mail out from France, but in order to collect their winnings they must send the fee to America.
In this particular case, they're telling people that they've got the opportunity to win $12,000 US, and all they have to do is send $10 back to the address in America.
Mr Boys says for a person to win a prize, they need to have entered a competition. People don't give away money for free. Unfortunately, scam artists target the aged and those who are cash-strapped. And the bad news, once they're on a mailing list, they can expect to be plagued by such scams for years to come.
The Office of Fair Trading have absolutely no jurisdiction against any of these companies, and that we simply cannot prosecute them because they're beyond Australia's reach.
Christina Harrison, WIN News.
Stay with us. Coming up, visiting Pommies take on the Aussies in a local cricket match.
Then brides galore at a charity fashion parade.
Tonight, a WIN Premier special. The highs and lows of Australian rock in the 70s. Skyhooks, Bee Gees, Marsha Hines, Molly Meldrum and more. When rock was young too. Premieres 8:30 tonight on WIN.
To Australia Zoo. Not just your ordinary zoo. Go wild on a family day out. Go wild with over 500 animals. Go wild at feeding time. Go wild with 10 shows a day.
Go wild!
Go wild at Australia Zoo, where crocs rule.
A million flowers in bloom. Events and activities throughout Toowoomba. The Grand Central Floral Parade, Saturday, September 23rd. A new Queen crowned. The Ergon Energy Flower Show under a massive marquee in Queen's Park. Toowoomba during the Carnival of Flowers, the nearest place to heaven. For information, call 4632 4877. Proudly sponsored by Heritage Building Society and Toowoomba City Council, and supported by WIN Television.
Go Harvey Norman for the biggest range and best prices on air conditioners. Buy now with no deposit, no interest and nothing to pay for 12 months. That's right, no interest and nothing to pay for 1 full year. Hurry in for an LG room air conditioner, $599. Save $200 on an Electra 2.5 horsepower reverse cycle air conditioner, $999. Fujitsu 2.5 horsepower reverse cycle split system, $21.99. And cool and heat the largest of areas with an Electra split system, $29.99. Beat the heat and save heaps this summer at Harvey Norman, your air conditioning specialist. Limited time only, see store for details.
You're invited to one of the highlights of Carnival Week, the Orchid Show. A breathtaking mass display of cymbidiums, exotics, natives and floral art. The Orchid Show, St Paul's Lutheran Church Hall, September 22nd to the 29th.
Silly Sally's Big Brand Supermarket Specials. Pack of 4 Golden Circle fruit bites, $1.75. Pack of 24 ounce shaved, $4.95. And Praise fat-free dressing, $1.80. Don't miss them. The fat-free dressing, $1.80. The Arnott's pack of 24 shaved, $4.95. And pack of 4 Golden Circle fruit bites, $1.75.
You're watching WIN Local News. Although federal cabinet's yet to finalise the fine print, farmers and conservationists are welcoming a proposal to buy back landholders' tree clearing rights. The multi-million-dollar scheme aimed at curbing Australia's land degradation and salinity problems.
If the proposal is adopted, the federal government will buy back the land clearing rights on both free and leasehold land across Australia. It's believed the plan, which could run into hundreds of millions of dollars, will be funded through the National Heritage Trust and is just one element of a wider natural resource plan which will see land degradation and salinity targets linked to Commonwealth funding for the states. While yet to see the fine print, the proposal's already got the blessing of environment groups who claim it's long overdue.
A program like this is long overdue. It will be the only way that the federal government is going to be able to meet its target of having no net loss of vegetation in this country by the middle of next year.
He says the idea has even greater relevance for Queenslanders with over 400,000 hectares of land, or 85% of the nation's total, cleared across the state each year, considered by many to be a contributing factor in the widespread salinity problems plaguing the Murray-Darling Basin.
Queensland could very well be contributing to that problem a great deal in the future as more and more clearing occurs here, because that's going to unleash the salt potential of this state and put it down through the Murray-Darling system. So, I mean, basically the writing's on the wall for the environment.
Although unprepared to comment on the scope and detail of the proposal today, Deputy Prime Minister John Anderson did confirm the situation in Queensland was a cause of concern in Canberra.
The issue of losing the right to clear without proper compensation is probably the most common one that is raised with me. And that's where I've always made it plain that I believe that people's property rights have to be recognised and respected when governments want to take action.
Kirk Costa, WIN News.
A brochure promoting one of Toowoomba's oldest tourist attractions was launched today, Picnic Point, the latest hotspot targeted by Toowoomba City Council.
You can hear the birds and the sky so blue, and I mean it just adds to the feeling of being Australian.
The Olympics not the only event inspiring patriotism this week. Councillor Sue Englert encouraging people to take advantage of the beauty in their own backyards. The launch of a new brochure promoting Picnic Point, a perfect way to do just that.
I launched the Explore Picnic Point Park brochure.
I think Picnic Point is synonymous with Toowoomba. It's got two faces. It's got the top face, as I call it, which is gardens and swings, and a typical park with its beautiful views. But below that, there are the bushwalks and the natural escarpment settings.
This latest in a series of brochures put out by Toowoomba Council will encourage residents and visitors to better utilise Toowoomba's parks by highlighting their unique features. The school holidays bringing an influx of visitors to Picnic Point today, Toowoomba's escarpment getting the appreciation it deserves. The brochure not only outlines the park's most popular tourist areas, but includes the hidden parts not everyone knows about. Lisa Chalk, WIN News.
Preparation for the Toowoomba Carnival of Flowers is in full swing this week. Local businesses, schools and community groups are busy putting the final touches on their carnival parade masterpieces.
With the carnival countdown underway, those involved in Saturday's parade are rushing to complete their floral floats, many of the displays requiring big workforces and months to prepare.
They started working on the float about 3 months ago, so all of the flowers are handmade, and that was the first thing that they started making, so it's taken quite a while to put it all together.
Despite competing with the Olympic Games, organisers are confident the carnival will be a success, saying participation in this year's parade is set to rival that of last year's 50th anniversary celebration.
I know the total entries is similar to last year, and last year was a huge parade because it was our 50th anniversary.
The parade's set to wow spectators with a feast of never-before-seen entries and the regular features like the award-winning Wilsonton School Marching Band. Wilsonton has taken out the Champion Junior Band Award for 9 of the past 15 carnival parades, today given the trophy as a keepsake.
The trophy's now full in the sense that we can't fit any more winners' names on the trophy. So we decided that as the school had won it on so many occasions, it should be given the trophy in perpetuity.
Over 30 floats will weave through the streets of Toowoomba on Saturday, with tens of thousands of spectators looking on. Lisa Honeywell, WIN News.
Well, the Olympic Games are bringing out the competitive spirit in all of us, but none more so than for one family. Toowoomba's Martin Luther School Oval today became the scene of a Pommies versus Aussies cricket match.
Are in trouble, I'm telling you.
All the best.
Don't get my bite.
Make the best team win.
Don't get too upset.
Make the best team win.
Local resident Joan Nimmo convened the match. She moved to Australia 35 years ago. But it's taken an event as big as the Olympics and a family wedding to encourage dozens of her relatives to reunite with her down under. So, with the Olympic spirit raging, they sought out a team of Australians to battle it out in the sport we inherited from the mother country. In an unusual twist, England actually won this game, 145 to 144.
There was a bevy of bridal dresses, both old and new, on show at the Salvation Army Hall in Toowoomba today. Hundreds of senior citizens flocking to take part in the annual charity concert and bridal parade.
If you organise it, they will come. That was the thinking behind today's gala at the Salvation Army Hall.
We've got them from Gundawindi, Inglewood, Clifton, all over the downs they sort of come to it.
The old-time band inciting a frenzy of clapping and toe-tapping from the audience, merrily trotting out those golden tunes from yesteryear. But the band graciously bowed out before the bridal parade got into full swing.
I don't know the difference between an inverted pleat and a gusset.
But before the blushing brides took to the aisle, vocalist Peggy provided the perfect segue.
We're on our way to say I do.
Angela was first, boasting a two-tier veil headdress of pearls. Myrna and bridesmaid Kelsey followed on in a lace frock with satin trip necklace, hem and train. But it was Oriel who stole the show, modelling her own wedding dress from 1957, which featured a sweetheart neckline. The crowd halting proceedings to pass on their congratulations.
Oriel, was that as nerve-wracking as your wedding day in 1957?
Not really, not as bad.
And after 43 years, did she have to loosen the waistline?
Well, you're still the same size.
Exactly the same.
Money raised from the day goes to the Police Citizens Youth Club boxers, heading to the Australian Championships, and the Horizons Club. Tom Forbes, WIN News.
On to the share watch now, and MIM was down 4 today. The National Bank also lower, closing at 24 and 2. Evans Deacons was 40 stronger. Gold and the All Ordinaries both down today, 42 and 12 respectively. Sports along next, and we'll be checking on Michael Katsidis ahead of his next Olympic boxing assignment.
Plus, we take a look at Toowoomba's first international cycling criterium.
On a current affair, the consumer shame file.
It's a form of blackmail.
Where a debt of just $5 can ruin your reputation.
Scary. It is scary and it's very annoying.
And you can't do anything about it.
The modern way to pay for all your computing needs is to flexi-rent them from Harvey Norman. Flexi-rent computers, printers and software for your home or business. You can flexi-rent the latest Hewlett-Packard computer and a colour DeskJet printer from just $19.38 a week. With FlexiRent, you can always stay up to date because FlexiRenting allows you to trade up as technology changes. FlexiRent, and get the solution you really need. Credit conditions apply. See your tax advisor about tax deductibility.
Look at the savings here, here, here and here. Savings galore. It's Franklin's Fresh and Big Fresh Bonus Pack Sale. 2-litre Schweppes Cola, 2 for the price of 1. Yes, $2 for 2. Pork barbecue chops, $3.98 a kilo. Middle bacon rashers, $6.98 a kilo. And 4 kilo bags of pre-packed brushed potatoes, $3.98 a bag. Savings galore during the Bonus Pack Sale at Franklin's Fresh and Big Fresh. Grocery specials also available at No Frills Village Fair.
You're invited to the 2nd Annual Queensland Festival of the Horse, October the 6th to the 15th. There's a huge range of equine activities, including carriage driving, trail riding, cab drafting and one-day events. Tuesday the 10th, it's the Equine Hall of Fame lunch. On Wednesday and Thursday, take part in the stud tours as well as polo and polo cross on the 12th. Plus, don't forget the grand finale, the Chronicle Equine Expo weekend, including the Barrostock Horse of the Year. For bookings and details on the Queensland Festival of the Horse, call 46312 778.
Tonight, 9:30, he was sent to do a job.
The National Crime Authority got him into the wild dogs.
He came out living the life.
Who are you loyal to? Now you are going to have to choose, Devlin.
An operative too close to the edge. Stingers undercover tonight.
On to WIN Sport, and Toowoomba boxer Michael Katsidis is gaining a great deal of support in his Olympic campaign, despite his snubbing by Australian coach Bodo Andreas. The fact that the Garden City boasts 7 Olympians is also giving the boxer added enthusiasm as he shapes up for a semi-final qualifier this Friday night.
After Mick Katsidis' refusal to take part in competition sparring in the lead-up to the Olympics, he's fallen foul of Australian coach Bodo Andreas, but they've since agreed to disagree in his Olympic assault, though his boxing talents are being appreciated by some of the greats, since recording a 15-6 result against a Brazilian opponent in his opening bout.
I've had Jeff Fanny, Cossaju, coming and visiting me before my fights, and there's been morning shows where they've been talking about me a fair bit, and it's great to have Joe Bugner behind me, tipped me as Australia's best gold medal chance.
Toowoomba is well represented in Sydney. Nikki Hudson, Angie Skirving and Michael Brennan part of our hockey team's successes, while synchro swimmer Danielle Leash, shot putter Justin Anlazark and cyclist Nathan O'Neill waiting for their opportunities. And it's that sort of presence which is giving Katsidis an added drive in his approach.
But in Toowoomba we've got the best of athletes, we've got the best of support, we've got the best of training, and you know, we will have the best of results.
After everything that's been going on in the team, you know, I can feel the full force of Australia behind me, and particularly having so many people from Toowoomba, it even makes me feel more at home.
Katsidis is pushing himself through 3 tough hit-outs during the day to maintain his fitness under regular coach Mick Petros. His next assignment will see him up against an opponent from Kazakhstan on Friday night, with a win there to push him well and truly into medal calculations. John Carlsberg, WIN News.
And for those sports fans throughout the entire Darling Downs region who'd like to show their support, they can send some special messages by Hero Fax on 136329.
Round 9 of the Queensland Short Circuit Touring Car Series saw just over 40 competitors take part in Millmerran. Michael Dawes in production class showing his consistency in the feature to outlast Grant White. Bruce Mitchell holding off the challenge from Brian Hull and Graham Kelly in the improved production. The battle raging all day in Formula 6, and it was Hull taking the checkered flag from a fast-finishing Glenn Krause, with Joe Bunter competing the minors. While Krause avenged in Super Sport, and Darren Cooper toiled hard in the juniors to collect his first ever feature success.
The Norwegian cycling team couldn't have asked for a better preparation towards their Olympic road race campaign, totally dominating round 6 of the Queensland Cup Series. They then backed up that performance in the afternoon to shine in Toowoomba's inaugural international criterium.
Plotting their course strategy, the 10-member Norwegian contingent were taking things fairly seriously, and with Australian and Great Britain teams also in attendance, the 6th and final leg of the Queensland Cup promised to be the best yet. Powering through the opening stages of the 140-kilometre course, all riders intent on maintaining pace out in front, and it was Aussie representative Tony Mann faring best of the home nation. The lead procession keeping track of each other over the opening hour of the trek, before a lead group of around 8 riders took the initiative. As mental and physical fatigue settled in, some of the front runners began to ease up, and that was the cue for the Norwegians to make their mark, 2 riders opening a handy break out in front, while another of their fellow countrymen pushed hard behind, hoping to keep in touch. His determination rewarded within 20 minutes as he roped in his teammates, and that made things even easier for the international contingent. As the main pack jostled hard, the Norwegians cruising, and able to take the top 3 placings, while Mann, the first of the Aussies, settling into 4th. The Toowoomba Criterium leg of Sunday's competition saw all riders backing up, and again it was the Norwegians showing their class. Although considered an individual event, the overseas competitors worked the numbers game to perfection, with 2 riders gaining a 400-metre advantage out in front, while the remainder played the blocking game. Again a 1-2-3 finish for the visitors, with Mann taking 4th, while local under-19 rider Jared Grove performed above expectations to be the 3rd Australian home.
Stay with us, the weather's along next with Peter Byrne.
Then art quilters step out of the past and into the future.
Weddings, where are they now? Premieres soon on WIN Television.
WIN Television proudly supports Norma O'Hara Murphy. Australia's top singer-songwriter and Golden Guitar winner is coming to your town.
I was driving down the highway on a moonlit summer night,
Singing all those wonderful award-winning songs just for you.
will soothe my soul, bring me
Book your table now. Don't miss this wonderful artist live in concert on her final farewell tour.
You know, there's been a lot of wild claims about paint lately, but let me give you the drum. I paint for a living, And the one paint I rely on is Solver Maxi Wash. For an unbeatable interior finish, it wipes the rest away.
And you can use the Maxi Wash colour selector to pick the perfect look for your home. Everything from kids' rooms right through to elegant dining rooms. And right now, you'll get expert service and advice as well as great prices on all Solver products. BMS Mitre 10, 3 big locations in Toowoomba.
Silly Sally's Big Brand Supermarket Specials. Pack of 4 Golden Circle fruit bites, $1.75. Pack of 24 ounce shaved, $4.95. And Praise fat-free dressing, $1.80. Don't miss them. The fat-free dressing, $1.80. The Arnott's pack of 24 shaved, $4.95. And pack of 4 Golden Circle fruit bites, $1.75.
Jenny Craig's taking off for summer. Lose 10 kilos for just $10. Join now and get 10% off at the Athlete's Foot. So call Jenny Craig on 131 992 and take off for summer.
With easy access, fast connection, and the latest technology, 24-hour-a-day backup, support 7 days a week, and backed by the world's leading IP network, WinNet is the internet service provider that gives you the world. Call 1-300-139-949 and get online with WinNet. It's a big world.
Put the band back together. The band? Come on.
It's the ultimate home makeover. 9 shows, 72 hours. Renovation Rescue 2 soon.
Good evening, Weather Watchers. Well, I'll tell you what, if I had $1 for each time someone has asked me over the last couple of weeks when it's going to rain, I'd be a very rich man. Now, climatologically, September is one of Queensland's driest months. Having said that, looking at today's temperatures, there's all the main centres along the coast. Now, rainfall for the 24 hours ending 9 o'clock this morning. Cardwell 2 millimetres, Tully 1. Maroochydore reported 0.2, but I bet my bottom dollar that was probably 0.2 of a millimetre of dew. Otherwise, state extremes 35 at Windora and Birdsville, and 6, would you believe, at Monto. OK, the first of the satellite pictures tonight. Generally, this is taken around about 4 p.m. this afternoon. This greeny colouring is high-level jet stream cirrus, coming very rapidly in from the southwest and northeast. And we can identify some low-level cloud, perhaps a few showers around the Cairns district there. But otherwise, most coastal radars are completely devoid of any echoes. On the continental picture, what can I say about that? You can see the origin. We've got a very meridional flow, so the wind is more or less coming up like this and from the southwest and then the northwest. So it's all over the place like a Labrador's breakfast. OK, not so the chart. We'll have a little discussion on this one next. The ridge will be maintained for the next 3 to 4 days at least, thanks to the high in the Tasman Sea. Now that high will step back, would you believe, in the next couple of days. This western trough will weaken. So apart from isolated showers down the coast about as far as Mackay, it should be fine apart from early morning fog patches anywhere from, say, Rockhampton south to Brisbane for tomorrow. Let's check the forecast for the North Tropical Coast and Tablelands. Isolated showers along the coast and ranges, mainly early morning, otherwise fine inland. Next, we look at the Herbert and Lower Burdekin, isolated coastal showers developing mostly or mainly north of Rolling Stone, otherwise fine elsewhere. For Thursday, isolated coastal showers. Further south for the Rockhampton district, fine apart from some early morning fog patches, east to northeast winds and continuing fine for the following couple of days. For the Toowoomba district, the Darling Downs and the Granite Belt, dry with some haze, light to moderate winds from the northwest to northeast, a moderate to high fire danger and continuing dry for Thursday. For the Bundaberg district, Wide Bay and Burnett, fine though some smoke haze, early morning fog patches near the coast, light to moderate northwest to northeast winds and a moderate to high fire danger. And finally, for the beautiful Sunshine Coast around Maroochydore and Caloundra, fine though smoke haze, light southwest to west winds in the morning, moderate afternoon sea breezes during the afternoon and fine for Thursday. Consider yourself meteorologically briefed.
Thanks a lot, Peter. Finally tonight, the Darling Downs Art Quilters Group have launched an exhibition ahead of its time. Progression's Art Quilters Step into the Future is their latest exhibition, which is currently on show at the Toowoomba Regional Art Gallery. It showcases contemporary textile art by quilt and fibre artists from across Australia and New Zealand. The selected works represent quilters' moves into the expressive freedom of the future.
That's our bulletin this Tuesday night. From all of us on the WIN News team, good night.
Good night.
This has been a WIN News presentation from Australia's largest regional television network.
With Bruce Page and Heather Ford, this is National 9 News.
Gold and an Olympic first for our horsemen in the three-day event.
Redcliffe celebrates as Lethal Liesl takes silver in the pool.
Prison escapees hijack games officials. Good evening.
Good evening.
4 Aussie horsemen have taken gold and made games history. Our equestrian squad won the three-day team event, their third victory at 3 consecutive Olympics. And one of them, Andrew Hoy, now joins the great Dawn Fraser as an Australian sporting legend.
The 4 men in our equestrian team weren't the only ones riding high. Thousands of supporters again poured into the equestrian centre, and to them, gold was never in doubt.
I think the Aussie will win by miles.
After performing well in dressage and cross-country, there were some anxious moments in the show jumping.
Oh my God.
But Matt Bryan, Philip Dutton and Stuart Tinney maintained Australia's lead over Great Britain, leaving Andrew Hoy to secure victory.
Wonderful, and that's the gold medal for Australia.
It's the first time a three-day event has been won by the same nation at 3 consecutive Olympics. A 5-time Olympian, Hoy joined swimming legend Dawn Fraser as the only Aussie to win 3 gold medals in the same event at 3 games.
Oh, it's just fantastic, especially to do it in front of the home crowd like this.
For Andrew Hoy, it could be a double celebration at these games. Hoy begins his individual campaign tomorrow, where our highest-placed rider in the team event has another great chance of Olympic gold. For teammates, their competition is over and the celebrations have just begun.
I mean, it was 4 years ago when we said, right, let's make a mission, let's try and create history. We've been saying that for 4 years.
This crowd, that doesn't get any better than winning in front of this crowd, I'll tell you.
I mean, this is what I was after, so I've got one now, so it's great.
Clinton Fletcher, National 9 News.
6 months ago, very few people outside the Redcliffe League Swimming Club had ever heard of Liesl Jones. Now the whole world knows of a superstar in the making who has her first Olympic silver medal at the age of just 15.
It's only a small club, but the spirit's enormous, and when 2 of their own are racing an Olympic final, young and old came out in force to cheer Liesl and training partner Tani White. Everyone at the Redcliffe Leagues club felt the tension as the big moment for their favourite daughters arrived. However, by the halfway mark of the race, a medal wasn't in most people's reckoning. Liesl, though, had eyes on gold.
She's got a great finish, so come on, Liesl.
Home bush and hometown support willing her on.
Jones with 10 metres to swim, trying to claim them. One's in front, Jones is lunging, one in front, gets there. Jones for silver.
In the end, she fell agonisingly short, but her silver reward indicating the arrival of a new star.
Yes, I'm holding it very close, so it'll be locked up in a safe for a little while.
Coach Ken Wood, as down-to-earth a character as you'd wish to meet, likens Jones's competitive approach to that of swimming legends Tracy Wickham and Ian Thorpe.
As she got out of the semi-finals, she went, I'm going to show no mercy to anyone tomorrow. And I said, well, don't say that too loud.
Wood isn't afraid to predict even bigger things ahead.
There could be some world records around the corner if we just take it steadily, you know, even at the state titles.
For the moment, the girl who turned 15 just a fortnight ago has her eyes on more immediate commitments.
Well, I have to get back focused pretty well, so because I got the medley relay on Sunday.
Andrew Slack, National 9 News.
Well, maybe they were out celebrating our medal-winning performances, but swimmers Anna Windsor and Melanie Dodd weren't in high spirits today. They've been reprimanded for breaking the Australian team curfew. Last night they were away from the Olympic Village for what officials call an extended period. In the men's pool, Ian Thorpe has finally met his match. Dutchman Peter van den Hoogenband equalled his own world record to take the gold in the 200 freestyle. Thorpe had to settle for silver.
Thorpe's extended family turned up at Olympic Park full of hope and bravado.
Thorpe's already won the gold medal. All he's got to do is jump in the pool.
With Thorpe's house overflowing, the next best thing, the big screen in the Aquatic Centre's backyard. Inside, Peter van der Hoogenband was completely at home as he turned in front on the final 50.
Van den Hoogenband.
The expectation that Thorpe's famous 6-beat kick would overpower the Dutchman never eventuated.
Van den Hoogenband will take the gold.
Thorpe eventually did catch van der Hoogenband. His swim might not have been what he wanted, but his class never failed him.
He just swam so well and I wasn't able to match it, so it was a great race and I really enjoyed it.
The Australian coach was just as succinct.
You know, tonight
the best man won.
Even though outnumbered, the Dutch stood tall, as did their man.
Today I was a little bit faster and I won the gold.
Then, getting it all in perspective...
life goes on.
Indeed it does. In the pool this morning, a disappointing first leg of the men's 4x200 relay for Grant Hackett, finishing fifth. His form causing concern.
But I don't feel any worry right now at the moment, but I think the next couple of days are important for him.
Australia eventually had an easy win and are favoured for gold tonight, but Hackett could lose his relay spot to Daniel Kowalski. The other three to be Bill Kirby, Thorpe and Klim.
Hi, Mum. Miss you.
A busy schedule for Susie O'Neill. The 200 butterfly heats this morning, plus the semi tonight, and the final of the 200 freestyle. Ken Sutcliffe, National 9 News.
One of the Romanian weightlifters expelled for failing a drug test has gone missing. Traian Cheherian, seen here on the right, refused to board a flight home. He handed in his Olympic accreditation and hasn't been seen since. The 1992 bronze medalist tested positive for steroids.
The trumpeted crackdown on Olympic ticket scalpers appears to be having little effect. Illegal operators are still selling tickets in broad daylight at venues, despite the threat of a $2,000 fine. SOCOG has urged spectators to buy only from official box offices. But there was no shortage of customers at Sydney's Central Railway Station this morning. An Olympic official from Uzbekistan has pleaded not guilty to trying to import 15 vials of human growth hormone through Sydney Airport. 45-year-old Sergei Voinov was granted bail and his case adjourned until September 25, 2 days before he's due to leave the country. If found guilty, he faces a maximum fine of $100,000 and 5 years jail.
A terrifying drama in Sydney's west this afternoon for a carload of Olympic workers and officials. The van was hijacked by two escapees on the run from a nearby jail.
The two prisoners escaped just before 4 o'clock, hijacking an Olympic vehicle which was transporting two Korean team officials. The Koreans were immediately thrown out of the Tarago. The driver and a pregnant SOCOG worker were ordered to drive off, but were released a short distance away. An ambulance was called to treat the pregnant woman. She was taken to Concord Hospital. The breakout sparked a large manhunt. The Tarago was found abandoned at Marrickville soon after the escape. Corrective Services says the escapees were minimum security prisoners. Scores of police and sniffer dogs converged on the Marrickville area. The prisoners, both in their green jail uniforms, were last seen on foot heading towards Sydenham Railway Station. It's understood the Korean officials were unhurt and are now back in the athletes' village. Simon Boda, National 9 News.
People in 6 Gold Coast townhouses were washed out of their homes today by a burst water main. A wall of water almost a metre high smashed down their doors and surged through their homes. The damage, about $500,000.
The water surged into Studio Village at Oxford around 2 this morning. A burst water main on the highway sent the torrent streaming through half a dozen units.
I heard a lot of noise. I thought it was hail actually. I thought it was a thunderstorm or something. I got up and it was shin deep in water.
The SES assisted in an evacuation and switched off the power. Pets and residents scrambled to safety, but very little property escaped unscathed.
It's a mess in there now. It's probably about a foot deep all over. I'm not as bad as Stuart or John's, but it's, yeah, about a foot deep everywhere in there. So
just everything's gone, washed away, whoosh.
With the water turned off, it was time to clear the debris and mud from the units.
Carpet stuffed, there'll be a lot of washing to do, and walls, back doors gone. The garage door, as you can see, is buckled. I don't know what the car's like in there.
A tide mark about a metre high, testament to the volume of water that hit the units. The council has provided accommodation for those displaced by the flood. They won't be able to return until the building has been declared structurally sound. Steve Marshall, National 9 News.
Still to come, mauled meter reader pleads for a dog's life.
And who'll look after Tiger Lily?
Tonight, it's all coming out.
Don't touch the troll!
That's what your mom used to say to your date.
Mimi has a thing for True.
My God, hundreds of pictures of you. She's in love with you.
Take me now, my portly stallion.
It's a horny Arab True Carey. Tonight on WIN.
Silly Solly's Big Brand Supermarket Specials. Pack of 4 Golden Circle fruit bites, $1.75. Pack of 24 ounce shaved, $4.95. And Praise fat-free dressing, $1.80. Don't miss them. The fat-free dressing, $1.80. The Arnott's pack of 24 shaved, $4.95. And pack of 4 Golden Circle fruit bites, $1.75.
Regardless of how and when your home was built, it's not a question of if, but when. With termites, the cards are stacked against you. For proven protection and control of termites, contact Creepy Crawly Pest Control on 1-800-8141-99.
Hey kids, join me down at KFC and get your very own Looney Tunes toy. Free with every chicken meal.
That's terrific! With Bugs, Daffy, Sylvester and Tweety to collect, the fun will never stop.
So for the secret to fun, follow me to KFC.
Hey, you need oil.
No way, this tastes heaps better.
But baby, it's select. Grease and peanut butter cooks me off a half a mile. Grease and peanut butter. So you have to spread, so through the bread.
I like Kraft peanut butter best because it's never oily and never dry.
Pretty slick.
Kraft peanut butter. Never oily, never dry.
What's life really like in today's army?
We have drivers, meteorologists, surveyors, computer technicians, vehicle mechanics.
All my qualifications are recognised for the rest of Australia. I used to be like a really shy little girl, whereas now I look at them in the face and I say, this is what I'm going to do, and this is when I'm going to do it, and this is why.
Through the army, I've made friends who I'll have for a lifetime. I reckon even if I won lotto, I'd still be a soldier.
The Army. The Edge. Take the ride of a lifetime.
Excellent.
The Great Chase soon.
You're with National 9 News. The fire ban over southeast Queensland's been extended for 2 more weeks. It's likely the ban, which covers an area from Noosa to the border, will keep being renewed until there's good rain. Anyone lighting a fire faces a fine or 6 months in jail.
There's more trouble over the homeless shelter at Brisbane's New Farm Park. A car's been dumped at the site since late last week, but because it hadn't been reported stolen, it couldn't be towed away. Today, the City Council was given permission to remove the car after talking with the owner's wife. The homeless shelter could also face removal. Meetings are being held with concerned groups about the shelter's future when its 3-month trial is up.
The meter reader who was mauled by a dog at Ipswich yesterday holds no grudge against the Bull Terrier cross. She's asked the council not to destroy the dog, even though it tore a chunk out of her leg.
From her Ipswich hospital bed, 47-year-old grandmother Janice Murphy is surprisingly upbeat, considering her ordeal.
I was just looking at him thinking, get the hell away from me.
She's already survived a dozen dog bites in as many years in this line of work, but none this serious.
Didn't think it was so bad. And then when I put my sock down, I seen all my leg, most of my leg just come away with my socks.
An electricity meter reader, she was working at a home in Flinders View when the Bull Terrier cross charged after her as she ran out of the yard.
Well, I was just outside and I just heard the lady screaming and looked over and the dog was basically on top of her and just full on having a go at her.
It then wandered back upstairs. Council officers were cautious as they tried to restrain him. It took 2 men and a wheelie bin.
Give it back.
The dog reluctantly gave in and has now been locked up. The fate of the dog, however, remains uncertain. He'll remain here at the Ipswich Pound until council officers can interview the owners. Ms Murphy has suggested the dog should be secured better rather than have him destroyed.
Because I'm an animal person and I can't stand seeing that happen.
His future should be known tomorrow. Gillian Whiting, National 9 News.
In the sorry saga surrounding Paula Yates, now comes the ultimate irony. With her and former lover Michael Hutchins both dead, their 4-year-old daughter seems likely to be brought up by Bob Geldof, the other man in the tragic triangle of love and hate.
At the home where Paula Yates lived and died, floral tributes from family and friends. Among the flowers, lilies for the little girl who'd pleaded for her mother to wake up. Police have revealed it was 4-year-old Tiger Lily who found her mum's body slumped on a bed, the room littered with pills and empty bottles of vodka. They were vices Yates had turned to in the traumatic years which followed the death of her lover, Michael Hutchins, recently shopping for alcohol on a daily basis.
Whenever she come here, I mean, sometimes 2 times a day, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, she used to buy a miniature, yeah, 2 bottles of miniature all the time.
A post-mortem failed to shed light on the cause of death and further tests are to be carried out. Police believe the absence of a suicide note suggests this tragedy was merely an accident, Paula Yates unwittingly consuming a lethal cocktail of drugs and alcohol in an attempt to deal with her depression. It's a theory widely supported, with neighbours adamant she would never have taken her own life.
I couldn't believe that anything like that would happen, because she wouldn't have left that child on her own in that flat.
And as friends returned to the house to gather Tiger Lily's possessions, her immediate future was being determined, with Yates's former husband, Sir Bob Geldof, awarded temporary custody. Damien Ryan, National 9 News.
One of the best-known residents of far north Queensland has died. 80-year-old Charlie the crocodile was found dead in his pen at Hartley's Creek Crocodile Farm. During his record 60 years in captivity, he was visited by thousands. The 4-metre-long croc was even awarded a certificate for his service to the community. Charlie had seemed healthy right up till he died on Sunday, but a post-mortem showed he had cancer. Sport now with Wally Lewis, our first judo medal in 36 years.
Gave our tally a real kick, Bruce, and it was won in difficult circumstances. That's next, plus Clem versus Popoff and the Kathy Freeman Media Show.
On a current affair, the consumer shame file.
It's a form of blackmail.
Where a debt of just $5 can ruin your reputation.
Scary. It is scary and it's very annoying.
And you can't do anything about it.
Look at the savings here, here, here and here. Savings galore. It's Franklin's Fresh and Big Fresh bonus pack sale. 2-litre Schweppes Cola, 2 for the price of 1. Yes, $2 for 2. Pork barbecue chops, $3.98 a kilo. Middle bacon rashers, $6.98 a kilo. And 4 kilo bags of pre-packed brushed potatoes, $3.98 a bag. Savings galore during the bonus pack sale at Franklin's Fresh and Big Fresh. Grocery specials also available at No Frills Village Fair.
Spring catalogue sale on now at Crazy Clark's. Lady swimsuits $12.95, giant water gun $12.99, aluminium scooter $69, garden plot with base $2, and a jumbo printed serving trays $2. But you better be quick. Spring catalogue sale on now at Crazy Clark's.
How do Omo high-performance tablets protect colours even in harsh conditions? Watch as Omo and a leading concentrator put to the test. The Omo washed fabric holds its colour, the other fades. This has been brand power for Omo high-performance tablets.
This is Amy Wildsmith from Queensland, a Pantene Great Healthy Hair Search winner.
I give my hair some pretty rough treatment. I'm outdoors a lot and found the product I was using just wasn't working. My hair was dry and limp. But with Pantene, it didn't happen overnight, but it did happen. It's healthy, shiny and full of body. And when I've got great hair, I hold my head up with confidence. I look and feel great.
Pantene, the power of great hair.
And it really does happen.
Spring catalogue sale on now at Crazy Clark's. Beach umbrella $8.99. Ladies bikinis $12.95. 25-litre esky $19.95. The savings just keep coming. Grip ball game $5. Giant super tank water gun $12.99. Water guns $2. Hurry, they won't last. Ladies swimsuits, any one of these just $12.95 each. And sarongs just $3.95. But you'd better be quick. Spring catalogue sale on now at Crazy Clark's.
Good evening. Members of our gold medal relay team returned to the Olympic pool today for the heats of the men's 100 metres freestyle. Michael Clem managed a morale-boosting win over Alexander Popov, while Chris Feidler also stormed into tonight's semis.
The Formula One stars of the pool only idled this morning. Klim versus Popov. The Australian won the heat, the Russian third, also into the semis, Chris Feidler. Ryan Mitchell and Regan Harrison both through to tonight's 200 breaststroke semi-finals. Going nowhere slowly, Equatorial Guinea's Eric Mossambani. With more courage than style, the lone swimmer in his heat of the 100 freestyle was cheered all the way home. A heart-stopping 7-6 win by the Australian women's water polo team over the highly regarded USA. The Aussies now into the semis. A sea of support on day one of the tennis, Pat Rafter advancing. Rowing and Kate Slatter and Rachel Taylor survived a late surge from the Germans to reach Saturday's final. Our women's double scull also into their final, while single sculler Gina Douglas is into the semis. Frustration for the Hockeyroos. After dominating against Spain, they had to settle for a 1-1 draw. Both our men's beach volleyball teams survived their sudden death matches. An animated Amanda Phillips finished 6th in the 63 kilo class, setting a new personal best and 2 Australian junior records. Our women's basketball team is on target to make the gold medal playoff, defeating Atlanta's silver medalist Brazil 81-70. And joy at last for Chinese gymnastics after being threatened with expulsion by the authorities back home for anything less than gold. The men's team last night delivered. Peter Overton, National 9 News.
A terrific boost for Australian judo, with Maria Peckley winning our first Olympic medal in the sport for 36 years. The 28-year-old, who moved here from Hungary 4 years ago, tore her cartilage in her first fight in the 57 kilo class and was carried off in tears, but managed to come back in her next 4 bouts to take out the bronze.
In front of the home crowd, it just lifted me up so much. Just stepping on the stage and hearing my name, it was great.
The last time an Australian won an Olympic judo medal was at Tokyo in 1964. And checking the medal tally on day 4, the United States on top with 6 gold, ahead of China, which collected gold today in the women's weightlifting. Gold at day 3 equestrian event has boosted Australia's collection to 14 medals. And 4 days after she lit the Olympic cauldron, Cathy Freeman is back in the spotlight. At the Aussie athletic team's last media conference before the track and field events begin on Friday, the world's reporters had eyes only for our top sprinter.
When you light the Olympic flame in front of 4 billion, you've got to expect a little attention. The press conference for our athletic stars turned into the Cathy Freeman show. The world's media has taken a shine to the girl from Mackay. 500 journalists, cameras galore, questions from every corner of the globe. Was lighting the cauldron a coup for Aborigines?
It's definitely a big boost to the Aboriginal community because, you know, it was historical, it was extremely significant. You know, it's a first.
And what of the pressure to beat rival Marie-José Perec in the 400 metres?
I'm just really, really determined to have a good time. I don't want this to be stressful. And meanwhile, yeah.
It wasn't all Cathy. Sprinter Matt Shervington determined he'll line up with the world's fastest.
From the very beginning, I've had the expectation of making the 100-metre final. You know, I've prepared for it, and I've prepared more professionally than I ever have to make that final.
Javelin thrower Louise Curry steadily overcoming a knee injury.
From today's session, very close to saying I'm an almost certain starter for the qualifying on the 29th.
And long jumper Peter Burge, one of the favourites for gold.
We're going to do pretty well in the long jump.
From the field to the track, and few can match it with US sprint champion Maurice Green. But put him behind the wheel of a Ferrari for a publicity stunt, and he's a slow learner.
Man, I be doing that all the time.
Fellow superstar Michael Johnson also has a taste for the finer things, literally right down to his 24-carat running shoes.
It's hot, too.
Mark Burrows, National 9 News.
I'm sure the boots will be worth just as much gold as he's got in his collection. A champion athlete.
Thanks, Will. The stock market has taken another tumble, down almost 40 points. Qantas dived 10, Telstra below $6. Tech stocks Key Corp and Melbourne IT also down, but a surge by Evans Deakin. Our dollar still sliding against the greenback and the pound. John's next with the weather.
Then the bunny that glows in the dark.
Martin Sheen and Rob Lowe in the most explosive, touching and addictive television this year. The West Wing, soon to win.
Harry in before they sell out. 1.25 litre soft drink, 79 cents. Tiffany biscuits, 50 cents. Pretzels, $2. Pack of 50 Mentos, $1. And don't forget the big school holiday bargains, toys, jewellery, books, stationery, and the great new caps and girls jewellery for only $1.
How do Omo high-performance tablets protect colours even in harsh conditions? Watch as Omo and a leading concentrator put to the test. The Omo washed fabric holds its colour, the other fades. This has been brand power for Omo high-performance tablets.
no need to book. Can we go to Sizzler, please? You have a break, Dad can have the steak, Sis will have the chicken and I'll have the chips, please. Come on, Mum, don't be a tease. Can we go to Sizzler, please? Come on, Mum, don't be a tease. Can we go to Sizzler, please?
At last, a tricky meal made simple by Continental Rice Creations. This clever meal kit makes it easy to create your own risotto right at home, and the kids will love it. Just brown some chicken and mushroom, add the arborio rice, flavour mix, fresh veggies, then cover and simmer for 16 minutes. And voila, Continental Rice Creations, just brilliant.
5 women, 1 goal. They're looking for love.
You can't be good at it. Why do you think I'm still single?
Single girls, soon to win.
Good evening. Another warm, dry day with plenty of smoke haze around this morning in Brisbane. The winds were mostly light northerly, although they did pick up to around 15 kilometres an hour with the sea breeze this afternoon. Again, most of the state was dry as well. Hottest spot, Windora and Birdsville with 35 degrees. And here in the southeast, these warm winds certainly kept most temperatures above average. On the Gold Coast, Coolangatta 17 to 23. Logan reached 28, Ipswich 32. Brisbane Airport had just 24 this morning, but it was warmer in the city, up to 27 degrees. Redcliffe had the benefit of the bay breeze. It'll cooler there with 25. Caboolture 30 and 24 on the Sunshine Coast. At the moment it's 21 degrees, 68% humidity. Let's see what the satellites have picked up as far as the cloud is concerned. There's the old picture. It's the usual thing. Very few clouds. What you can see, no rain associated with that. If we look at the chart, the warm northerly winds off the back of this area of high pressure, these lows moving in normally could bring some rain, but as they get towards the coast, it's very dry, so more highs coming in, bringing the same old story with dry days to come. Now the capital city forecasts. Perth and Adelaide will be fine tomorrow, becoming fine in Hobart as the day goes on. A few showers for Melbourne, Canberra and Sydney, both fine and sunny, and Darwin fine, mostly sunny, 33 degrees. The northern centres of Queensland will be sunny up there as well, although maybe a few brief showers further north. Kansas mostly fine, 28 degrees. It'll be fine in Townsville, brief shower for Mackay, but still mostly fine there. And then sunny and dry all the way down the coast, 28 for Rockhampton and about 27 degrees for Marlborough. Let's look at Moreton Bay. Mostly northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots, with afternoon northeast sea breezes at 15 to 20 knots. The highest seas will be 1.2 metres and offshore 1.8 metres. So Brisbane tomorrow it'll be fine again, but some smoke haze through the day and some early fog patches to look for. Light northwest winds and moderate afternoon sea breezes. Temperatures for the city 14 to 27. Ipswich 10 to 31. Toowoomba's fine and 12 to 28. It'll be fine on both the coasts. Temperatures for the Sunshine Coast 15 to 24, 16 to 23 for the Gold Coast. Now looking further ahead, the dry days will continue at this stage, 27 degrees on Thursday, and then after that maybe a little cooler on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. But as you can see from there, certainly no change. But these warm days certainly bringing the blooms out. I actually saw some jacarandas today.
Did you?
Yeah,
oh,
good time of the year for that, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks, John.
All right.
Well, long before we had a 7-day forecast, long-range forecasting was the business of Lennox Walker. Mr Walker supplied vital weather information to farmers and graziers around Australia during a 42-year career that began at the Cromhurst Observatory at Beerwah. Lennox Walker has died on the Sunshine Coast from cancer. He was 75.
Finally tonight, an American artist claims to have had a rabbit genetically modified so that it glows in the dark. Eduardo Cac commissioned French scientists to splice genes from a fluorescent jellyfish into rabbit genes, creating a bunny that has a greenish tinge under special light.
When you transform another mammal or another form of life genetically, that in and of itself is not monstrous.
So far, the only picture of the rabbit, called Alba, is on Cac's website. Scientists are refusing to let the bunny out of the laboratory, fearing that if it escapes, it could freak out other wildlife.
It's not good for camouflage at night, is it?
That's how it is this Tuesday.
I'll be back for our Olympic special bulletin at 6. Good night.
Good night.
Tonight, cheaper fuel tipped for regional Queensland.
A lucky escape for a Toowoomba family.
And police swoop following the assault on an elderly Charlton woman.
This is the Toowoomba WIN Local News with Des McWilliam and Selena Downs.
Good evening.
Good evening.